Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Premodern Showdown Series 2. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined tonight by Flint Espel. Say hi, Flint.
Hi, everybody.
And on screen, you can see the matchups that we will have tonight. We have two matches, starting off with Andy versus Shawn, and then we'll close out the night with Robin versus Anthony. So we'll jump right on over to the band screen for this matchup. Okay, so the three decks that Andy normally has available to him are Pirates, Slivdus, and Wild Zombies. His Wild Zombies deck is banned, and Shawn Sullivan has Unnatural Mirror Control, Prosperity Bloom, and Torpors V. And Shawn's Torpors V deck is banned. So the players have decided. Well, so this is the first time for both of these players that one of their decks has not been banned. Andy's Slivdeuce deck, I think, has been banned every week, and Shawn's Unnatural Mirror Control deck has been banned every week. So, to surprise to a few, they are playing those decks. Andy is on the Slivdeuce deck, and Shawn is playing the Unnatural Mirror Control. So let's go over and take a look at these lists since we haven't seen them in action yet. The Slivdeuce deck is an aggressive slivers list that kind of gets the name from the old deck of Three Deuce, which was an aggro. It had some disruptive elements in terms of like Seal of Cleansing and whatnot, and so it kind of was a metagame aggro deck. And we can see a lot of those components fit into this sliver shell. So all the threats here are slivers, and they are the aggressive ones: red, green, and white. Muscle Sliver pumps the team. Blade Sliver gives the creatures an extra power, and the Spine Sliver, gives them power when they get blocked. I guess I don't actually remember what that one does. And then um the accompanying spells are burn spells with Lightning Bolt. There's Rain Chorus to pump up the creatures, increase the clock. Also, it gives trample, so a sliver might be able to get through. There is Waxwane, which is one of the cards that I've really liked in aggressive decks because it's never really dead. That's the problem with like some of the aggro decks. If you have a card like Disenchant, it's awkward because if it doesn't have any targets, it just sits in your hand. Well, the Waxwane, while it can't hit any artifacts, it can hit enchantments. But then the other side, it's never a dead card because it's just +2/+2. And so it's a little bit undercosted. It's not a giant growth, which is not a commonly played card to begin with. But just the flexibility of the card can really prove valuable. What stands out about this list for you, Flint?
It's interesting because we've seen one sliver deck so far, right, in which took more of a tempo-y role,
Mm-hmm.
whereas this is kind of your standard beat down, deal damage as fast as possible instead of kind of sitting back and playing that waiting game. So I think I'm most curious to see if Andy is able to get out of the gates fast enough to do the damage that he needs to close the match before it goes too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the slivers deck that we saw earlier in the week was accompanied by counter spells, and here that this deck forgoes it for like burn spells and pump spells.
And I think his deck gets much better after a board, and I guess we can talk a little bit about why that is after we show Sean's deck.
Sure. So we go over to Sean's deck, the Unnatural Mirror Control deck. So do you want to break down what is going on with this list?
Sure. So on the surface, or at least in terms of its shell, it's a blue-white control deck. Of course, Sean's managed to sneak a little black in there for Cabal Therapy, which works wonders with Spirit Mirror, which is an enchantment that hasn't seen a lot of play in pre-modern. But basically, it allows the controller to put a 2/2 spirit token in play. And Mike, is it at the beginning of the upkeep? When does the token come into play? I always forget.
I don't actually remember. Here, let me.
All right. Well, so while Mike looks that up, basically you get spirit tokens periodically, but the other ability on the enchantment is to pay 0 and destroy target spirit. And what Sean's doing with this deck is he's using unnatural selection to turn his opponent's creatures into spirits so he can destroy them using the spirit mirror. And as Chet has noted, it's almost the unnatural machine gun. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. Obviously, he's going up against a creature deck, which is why I'm really looking forward to this matchup. And as I alluded to earlier, I think that Andy's chances get much better after sideboard because then he's going to bring in those crystalline slivers, which give his slivers shroud, which he doesn't have in the main deck compared, which is different compared to the other slivers deck in the format.
Okay. To answer your question, the spirit comes into play at the beginning of your upkeep if there are no
Yep,
spirits.
got it.
So let's go on over to our match. Our players have shuffled up. Like neither player has mulliganed. Shawn has won the die roll and he will be on the play. Flint, you can give them the go ahead to start, and we will kick things off with this match number 1. I'm going to throw up the poll for you guys to decide who you think is going to win this match, whether it's going to be Andy or Shawn. You have a couple minutes to make a prediction, so give your input. You can have some bragging rights if you get it right. Do you think one of the decks has an advantage just on paper for game 1?
I think the slivers might be advantaged game 1, if provided he has a land with more slivers and less removal.
Okay. I think it's pretty close because I mean like if the control deck is pretty well equipped to deal with creatures with the number of removal spells and what's going on. So I think it is pretty close. This should be a really interesting matchup. Okay, so the turn 1 play for Andy is a plated sliver. So that's a 1-mana 1/1 that gives all slivers +0/+1. So it pumps the toughness. And then Shawn is just developing his mana.
Yep, that's a sliver that we saw on Monday. It's the week of slivers here in the Premodern Showdown series. Ooh, the muscle sliver. It's an important one. Shawn, he's got the swords. I was going to say he had 2 mana and no counter spell there. It's probably a swords backup.
Oh, I got Andy's life total wrong since he's been taking
No
damage
worries.
for his land. So he should be at 20, right? If he took 2 damage and then gained 2.
Yes. No, because he had to tap the city. Well, if he tapped it for a
Yeah,
green.
he should have gained 2 life from the muscle
Yeah.
sliver, right?
Yep.
It looks like our poll has come in, and we predict that Andy with the Slivdeuce deck will be the winner. All right, we see a stifle, so that is stifling a wasteland activation. So Shawn, that's probably there's not that many targets for stifle in Andy's deck, right? So it was nice that Shawn had that right away to keep his mana base healthy.
Yeah.
And so this is the spine sliver. This is one I can remember.
Whenever a sliver becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature blocking it.
Okay. And that actually could come into play because the spirit mirror makes a 2/2 reflection. So I guess we already have the plated sliver where its toughness is a little bigger, but it will brawl a little bit better. All right, I guess I'm looking at Shawn's life total. So all right, so Andy's at 8. They're both at 18 right now. Okay, I think Shawn is a little behind on his life total. I'll look at Andy's to going forward.
Yeah. Comical flop because they're shrouded in mystery.
Ooh, probably should read the joke.
The joke was white as blastoderm like spy novels. So my guess is because they're shrouded in mystery. But we'll see. All right, so Shawn's going in for 4 here. What did I miss as I was making jokes? Did he
Yeah,
miss an impulse?
he cast an impulse, and then he cast a natural, unnatural selection is the name of the card. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
and if anyone is wondering why this card is in the deck, it combines really well with this spirit mirror, and because you can change the any creature to a reflection, and then you can destroy it with the spirit mirror. My joke was, how did the man feel after he got his legs amputated? Defeated.
Oh, oh.
All right, so we see a shared triumph is added, and I'm going to guess that Sliver is named.
Probably.
So that will make all of the creatures a little bit more formidable. The clock is right now there's a 2 power and a 3 power, so it's taking for 5 every turn. And we see Andy have another wasteland, and he's was picking out what he wanted, and he looks like he's going for one of Shawn's wastelands.
Yep. He basically wants to deal as much damage as he can, as fast as he can.
Yep, because he has the spirit mirror in play, so he will be able to just use all his mana and destroy these creatures. So he gets a 2/2. I'm guessing you just do it right now, right?
Is
I mean,
there any problem waiting?
I guess not.
So he did leave a white mana open here, right?
Yeah, either with Attica Waste or City of Brass.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's turning the slivers into spirits, and then he'll destroy them. So we get to see the wombo combo of what his deck was designed to do to really just take out the creatures. Right?
Interesting. The natural selection is quite good here too, because he can just turn creatures into non-slivers, so they lose all of the benefits as well. So
Wait,
even if
so
he doesn't have the spirit mirror, he can kill the synergy, right?
I missed the attack. So Sean's all the way down to 2? How did he...
Yeah. Because Andy attacked with the slivers and the treetop village.
Oh, I guess I missed that attack. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I was thinking he was at 10 and things were looking really great, but being at such a low life total, then all the, I guess the reach he has is lightning bolt. Is there? There's curse scroll, I think too. So the creature front is kind of under control. I guess Andy still can draw like a Waxwayne to disrupt that combo. So
Yep.
all right, so there's a backup unnatural selection. That one's not the most effective, but because I think you would just go for Spirit Mirror anyways if you had the enchantment removal.
Yep.
So here we see a lair land that is Rift's Grove that will pick up a City of Brass, and then we see a Lightning Bolt. So if there's not a counterspell, I guess a Swords of Plowshares.
Seeing your own.
Oh
Yeah.
no. Okay, so he's
Okay.
he's responding. He's got a response, but he's just gonna tap his lands and take some damage.
It's like tapping um, the Aether Vial at the end of turn every single time.
All right. So that was quick and dirty. I was surprised because I mean, like, it seemed like Sean got shop set up, but I guess he just had taken too much damage already. Because I mean, if he had a few more points of life, then I think that game really would have been under his control. It seemed like he had a pretty good lockdown of any creature damage, which is very powerful, obviously, against Andy's deck. Yes, that was a lightning bolt. Lightning bolt took him
Lightning
out.
bolt. Lightning bolt.
Just one lightning bolt. So, all right, you talked about the sideboard. What do you want to talk about? What do you think's coming in?
Ooh, so Crystalline Sliver definitely coming in.
Okay.
Definitely, definitely.
So yeah,
And
I
then
talked about how this is a red white green deck, but Crystalline Sliver is white and blue. So it's just there are the Gemstone Mine, City of Brass, Reflecting Pool. So there are 10 sources that can help cast that. So okay, what else
and
looks
I think
appealing?
the root slivers are going to come in as well, right? Because that makes it so slivers can't be countered.
Yeah, that is what it does. A 4 mana 2/2. This can't be countered, and Slivers can't be countered.
So I like Crystalline Sliver like 100%, fairly sold on root sliver. Question for me is whether or not he brings in the Pyroblasts,
I think you
takes
would.
out the
I mean,
swords.
yeah. I mean, it seems pretty good because like it's fine against blue spells, but then also, well, I guess you do have ways. You already have Waxwing, so I guess it depends if you're keeping that in. Um, if you, because if you can kill an unnatural selection, but if you already have enough effects to do that, then maybe it's not as needed. But I think Pyroblast is probably better than Waxwing in this matchup. Just being able to counter some of the blue spells and destroy the enchantment. I think Waxwing on average does less than a Pyroblast, but I could be wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good enough just given that Sean's deck is so enchantment focused for his synergy. But I think, in terms of dead cards or mostly dead cards, I think that the swords come out. I mean, certainly Sean could bring in meddling mages, but those aren't great here because Andy's mostly just looking to stomp. He's not trying to combo off. So I think I would probably take out the swords to plowshares. I might take out some number of the Rancor as well.
Mhm.
And then I would bring in all the sweet, sweet Slivy boys. And then we'll see if he brings in the Pyroblast. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on those.
All right, let's look at the list for the mirror control deck. Sean, what looks interesting here? So swords, circle protection, red seems fine. Can't even tell what the card is above that or below it. I know there's a standardized, um, but I don't know. Academy Rector.
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
you could
Are there any cards in his deck that don't pull their own weight? Like maybe Forbid is a little bit too clunky.
maybe disenchant.
There was Shared Triumph, but and Curse Scroll. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not great, but you can also destroy a Rancor.
Maybe forbid.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I was thinking one of those comes out just 3 mana for most of the cards is just a little bit too slow.
What's the card in the upper left?
Uh, Above Impulse.
Yeah. Mistform mutant.
Oh yeah, yes, the Mistform Mutant.
Take those out.
I don't know. they they're pretty expensive. Are they five or they're 6
6 mana.
6 mana?
6 mana.
Yeah, they're just real clunky. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd probably take out two of those. Maybe a Cabal Therapy, a Forbid.
Yeah, I guess
But
those
then
those
what
are.
do you bring in? I mean, do you want to even take that many cards out?
You definitely take like you definitely can bring in like a swords or a circle protection and probably Academy Rector. Uh, just gets in the way. I mean, even like I'm trying to think if Meddling Mage is a card that's interesting enough. It just the way that Andy's deck is set up, it seems hard that it would rumble very well against the slivers with plated sliver or spine sliver. It kind of just gets blanked pretty quick. All right, well we'll jump back over the match. I think the players have kept their hands. If you want to just let them know they could start when they're
Done.
ready. All right, we start off with a turn one, Cabal Therapy. What card would you be interested in naming in the dark?
Uh,
Would it be
Med-
Waxwayne? Is it Waxwayne? It was not Waxwing. It could be Rancor as well, but I don't know. It's like once that gets in play, it's a little bit harder to deal with. But or we see 1 damage for the plated sliver that Andy drew. So the life totals are all tied up. All right, here we have a second
Uh-oh.
Cabal Therapy. This one could name Waxwing. Oh no, Muscle Sliver. I got too excited. I was hoping for.
Ooh, there's two.
I
There's two.
guess. Well, I mean, if he has, well, yeah, because you could like take Waxwing and then just swords the Muscle Sliver. So, but he'll get rid of the plated sliver. I guess if you're able to keep all the creatures off the board, but then you can't really ever assemble your combo if he has Waxwing always in his hand. And this is the metallic sliver, so this is just a 1 mana 1/1 sliver. It's an artifact too, but I don't think there's any benefit from Andy's perspective for that.
It counts as a sliver.
Well, yeah, that is the benefit.
Disenchant.
Is that a benefit? Or is that what happened?
That's what
Okay.
happened.
Yep. Well, there's definitely a downside of it being an artifact creature then. Disenchant takes it out. Okay.
Indeed.
And here, I mean, you have to like Sean's odds here, right? I mean, if
Oh yeah.
he knows he knows Andy's hand, just a couple of pump spells and a land, and he's at I guess 16 life. Let me update this. And here we do see a Medley Mage. I guess the biggest thing right now is Sean is he has a painful mana base. He has 2 City Brass and then 2 Pain Lands. So colored mana does not come without a cost right now. So it might
I
be.
think he is messaging us what he named.
I thought maybe he was
Crystalline Sliver.
taking a phone call. Okay, Crystalline Sliver. Okay. This is a Rancor that's being cast.
The plated sliver is very bitter and angry about what has happened to its brethren.
It is a 3/2. Would you block there? I guess you don't because he has the Waxwing.
Yeah.
Yes, he can't block there. All right, so he has to take 3. Well, I mean, things don't like necessarily look as good now. Because if you don't have a good clean answer to this threat, and every creature he draws is gonna have this Rancor come back, what does Shawn need to do? And like Spirit Mirror isn't very good because of Waxwing. I mean, you might be inclined just to flashback a ball therapy, because then that turns on like some of your draws.
So Phil with a good comment here. He hopes that Sean saw the match on Monday and uses a natural selection on his own creatures to turn it into slivers.
Oh yeah, yeah, I didn't think about it from that perspective with the unnatural selection, but yeah, that would be a cute way. Yeah, because the right,
The meddling sliver mages.
yeah, I guess the meddling mage would be a 2/4.
Not an issue at the moment, but a good point.
Yeah, I don't know how much time Sean has if talking about waiting till he has the mirror and then flashing back the Cabal Therapy, but 'cause he's getting attacked for 4 every turn, and there's 2 Waxwings, so he has to block here.
Yep.
Well, yeah, he's blocking the unrankered one, but now the Waxwing is going to uh wait. Didn't he only take 3? Did
Oh
he?
no, we see a hand.
Oh no. Well,
It's
either way,
over.
just a lot of lands, I guess. All
That
right.
was a quick one.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Let's jump over
Andy
to
takes it home.
yeah.
Yep.
Let's listen into the players, see what they have to say.
Well, I guess that went according to plan for me.
I guess so. I thought I had enough answers there in my opener, but I guess not.
Man, yeah, I just kept top decking slivers.
Well, I mean, that's what it's supposed to do, right? There's a ton of slivers in there.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the old 20 creature, 20 spell, 20 land type deal.
Yep.
Hey guys, do you have us unmuted?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do, yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a quick beatdown, and yeah, I mean, at the start of game 2, there was a point where it was just a plated sliver, and then Andy's hand was 2 Waxwanes and a City of Brass, and Shawn had 4 lands in play and was at like 19 life. And I'm like, this looks great. Or no, I guess he might have been a little bit less, but I'm like, this looks great.
There was a sliver off the top, ranker off the top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just too fast. The slivers just came too quick.
Yeah, and the first game, I thought you were at 10 when you kind of had assembled the Spirit Mirror Unnatural selection combo, but I had missed the last attack where you took like 8 damage.
Yeah, I took like 5 or 8 or
yeah.
I don't know. He attacked at the treetop village at 2. I think I took like 8. 7,
yeah.
something like
So
that.
The difference of being like 2 and 10 there was a lot different because I'm like,
against the deck with bolts in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then
I just top decked the bolt. Yeah. Yep. I have a secret.
Yeah, I mean, I got to kill a bunch of his guys, so and it held back the treetops for 1 turn until he found bolt.
Yeah.
With the threat of it. So.
Yeah, I just had to draw a bolt and you not have I guess just counterspell and because I could play around Mana Leak, but I guess counterspell and forbid. I guess.
I have forbid, 1 forbid, 1 absorb, and 4 counterspells.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a secret. I had no idea that combo worked that way. I thought it was just he was trying to make like just go wide with spirits, like change the spirit into something else, and then. But I guess it doesn't work that way.
Right, which was actually the original idea. I was like, oh, I can do this. I'll just change my reflection into something else, and then it'll trigger the spirit mirror and make a different reflection. And also, it has this other benefit of destroying all their guys, but it only does the second part. It doesn't do the whole thing.
Okay.
So.
Because they just change back, and then when it triggers, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, I can deal with this deck. It doesn't have any wraths. It's like Landstill without the wraths, basically, but it just that's a different kind of wrath. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, that was cool. I wish maybe the game went on a little bit longer. You killed him a little bit too quickly, Andy.
I know. I wanted to see it all play out because I think we both kind of did like nice guy bans this time. Like I guess we didn't ban the deck that had been banned every match up to this point. So yeah, I did.
Yeah, which was nice. This I haven't had a chance to play this one yet. I figured you were going to ban it, and so my plan was I was going to ban. I kind of liked the Frostbloom matchup against either your Pirates deck or the Slivers deck, just because it's a combo against a sort of aggro deck.
Okay.
So I figured I would play that if you banned this, but you gave me a chance to play this, so I had to try it. So.
Yeah, I figured the Frostbloom and the Dreamhalls deck, it's almost like playing against the same deck. I mean, it's like an enchantment-based combo, like resolve a 5-mana enchantment and go off from there.
Right.
So I think for me the logical ban was probably to ban the control deck, and I definitely against all 3 of your decks, I was really hoping to play the Slivers just because of Waxwayne being.
Yeah, Waxwayne. I almost banned the Slivers deck because Waxwayne is so good in the matchup, but in your main, like, because I figured you were going to ban this, right? So I figured I was going to be on one of my combo decks.
Yeah.
But Waxwayne, you have like main deck, you have 4 Waxwaynes and 1 Seal of Cleansing.
That's correct. Yeah.
And those are your only interaction for those enchantment combos, and so so I thought that would be, I could try to work around that. There's counter magic.
It could go either way. Yeah.
And then I think it was this deck has no basics, so natural selection in the Frostbloom deck doesn't get you any land, which is nice. But
natural balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely my greediest mana base for sure.
Natural balance, not natural.
Yeah.
This is unnatural selection deck. The other one's natural balance deck.
Yeah, natural selection is like the
old-
Dodger from Alpha, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, man,
with the bird.
It doesn't draw a card.
Yeah, it's like the worst ancestral recall you can imagine. But
Yeah, do people still play?
We unfortunately never got to see any of the.
Do people still play Birdman in old school, or is that just like a joke?
I mean, it gets played. You can play it in some like cute decks to try and be funny and like build some sort of lantern control-ish millstone deck maybe, but
Yeah, I don't know if there was just a joke, but I just feel like I would see a bunch of lists that would just have one natural selection in it. So I don't know if it was just like one guy or just an ongoing joke that they would just be like, you got to play the one natural selection in your deck.
Unfortunately, it wasn't close enough that this came up, but I had been planning out all of these tricks with Unnatural Selection too, with his slivers.
Yeah.
So one thing I can do is, even if I don't have the kill card, I can turn all of your slivers off, basically, by changing them into other stuff. And also I can turn my reflection into a sliver. So I can like block one of your guys, turn him into like a bird or something instead of a sliver, and then turn my reflection into like a 5/5 striking lifelink sliver or whatever it is you've got going on at the time. So
yeah, that would have been pretty sweet to see.
Yeah, we were talking about that because it came up on Monday as well. The different things you can do with creature types.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's almost like Phil and Aaron's match. There's some similarities there with the creature type changing and against the slivers.
Yeah, maybe we'll see the two creature type changing decks face off in a battle of who can say what the last creature type is.
Yeah, you could turn his Griffin back into.
Oh, actually, that reminds me. Actually, I didn't. Never mind. Okay, I was like, did I have an unnatural selection in play with my Medley Mage, and I could have saved him, but no.
No, not game 2. Yeah.
Not game 2.
No.
Maybe we'll see that matchup next week.
We can only hope. So yeah, pretty standard sideboarding. I just brought in the crystallines and the root slivers and pyroblast. I took out one ranker because it's not the best with crystalline slivers.
Yeah, those were the cards I figured you'd bring in, and they're really scary. So crystallines, you guys, the first Cabal Therapy was for crystalline sliver in game 2, and then the meddling mage was also on crystalline sliver, because if that thing comes down, it just completely shuts my deck off. And then after that, like if I can, the idea was if I can land a meddling mage on crystalline sliver, then the next one would go for root sliver, and then after that, I felt pretty good, but I figured the red blast would come in, and those are really good in the matchup too.
Yeah,
so I have a bunch of blue stuff.
Yeah, I was curious. Did you think about maging the Waxwayne?
I thought about it because they were in your hand, but I also thought about therapying, because I could have flashback therapy on mage to take them out of your hand, but I felt like I wanted to still try and sort of find my combo pieces and like be able to do things that way, rather than maging and hoping that could stick. The only out that I have for crystalline sliver is standardized. There's one of those in the sideboard.
I looked that one up in between games.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
So that was like, which I actually drew in that last game there when I didn't need it all, but there's just the one copy. But yeah, that's the only thing I have if crystalline resolves.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
That, or if you maybe attack into me, and I can turn my Academy Rector into a sliver and kill it or something. But
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, quick games. I guess there's not too much to talk about.
No. 20-0, real quick.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, it was good to see the decks that have been banned all the other weeks. So even if it was a brief action, it was nice to see them in action.
I know Brian probably hates me for playing an aggro deck in the PSL.
Yeah, but yeah, everyone enjoyed it, I think. So it was good to see, and it was cool to see the Unnatural selection and the Spirit Mirror get in play in conjunction. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna show this off.
it's
this Yu-Gi-Oh card. This is a reflection, and it's all shiny, and it says
awesome.
reflection.
Unfortunately,
and it was $1.
the card fetcher that I have does not bring up Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So
well, it has a lot of text on it, and I've always heard that cards that have the most text on them are the most powerful. So, and it's even I believe it's a 2/2. The little jewels on the side there.
Well, usually the power is like in the corner. That's usually like 2,000 or something. But I think like stars is like its cost kind of thing.
It's 1850, 2700.
Yeah, just put that guy to play and then attack with it.
So do is attack one time with this, and I just
game over.
Game over.
Take a lot of damage.
But it costs 7 star mana to play. So I have to figure out what lands produce star mana.
Oh no! So I know nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh, but that sounds pretty powerful.
Well, this is the content that keeps folks coming back for more, right? So
I'm sure plenty.
Just figure it out on stream.
I'm sure there's plenty of people watching that have played Yu-Gi-Oh in the past. I played it like a little bit on the Game Boy. I remember there was a game I had, but I don't remember the rules. I think like past a certain star value, you have to like sacrifice other cards to like play it or something. I can't remember, or discard other cards. But in general, there's like no real mana system, I think.
I see. Yeah, that would it says first edition and copyright 1996, so it's also pre-modern legal.
All right.
Wow, perfect. I did not know Yu-Gi-Oh was that old, actually. Yeah. So that's like even before Pokemon.
I guess, yeah.
Start brewing. Start brewing. PSS3.
Yeah, maybe that'll be one of the months, the alternate monthlies. Is you could include like 5 Yu-Gi-Oh cards in your pre-modern deck.
Yu-Gi-Oh deck, a Magic deck, and a Pokemon deck, and then you decide which one to ban and play.
Yeah. It's like a Shahrazad card. Players play a sub-game of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes.
And whoever wins loses half their life.
Well. I did play Pokemon for a hot minute, so I guess I might be able to do that.
I think a lot of us did.
Yeah.
And some of us still do, right, Mike?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I've like that. I've played like some of the retro formats. Like there was like I haven't played the last few months, but there was a Discord group that started up that was playing like base through fossil Pokemon trading card game, and so
it's like old school Pokemon.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Cool. And so I wanted to play it like a couple years ago, right around like when Pokemon Go came out. I bought a bunch of old cards, but I could never find anyone to play. And then just at the end of 2020, like the Discord actually finally gained some traction, and I got to play in a couple tournaments. So it was I'm a little busy right now, but yeah, it was fun while it lasted. So
yeah,
I mean, it makes sense that it would pop up, right? It's the same as these nostalgia driven Magic formats, just for people in a slightly younger, the old school and sort of pre-modern Magic is maybe like most attractive to people somewhere between like 32 and 45 or something, and then the Pokemon one's probably just like 5 years younger than that, 27 to 40 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I know the Pokemon market has gone absolutely insane, like even maybe more than Magic, as far as the old cards shooting up in price.
Yeah, it definitely had like some social media influencers had done some stuff, and the market just went crazy. I think it might have come back down a little bit, but I don't know.
There was a rapper who bought like a PSA 10 Shadowless Charizard whatever thing for like, I don't remember, some large amount of $500,000. I don't know what it was, some large amount of money. And I think I remember that was like a big deal.
Yeah,
that's about the same as the Alpha Lotus that sold recently.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh. Well, we will bid you adieu, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thanks for the games. Congrats to Andy. Sean, as always, next week.
I'll get one eventually.
Yeah.
You will. I know you will.
If I play for the rest of the life of the universe, eventually I'll win the game.
Yep.
You're a numbers guy. You know this. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Congrats, Andy. Great games.
All right. Yeah, good games.
Fun playing with you. All right. Later.
All right. I'm going to jump over to our get to know the players screen. We have our First card for Andy up. What is your profession job? He is a guitar maker. So this was something that I learned about Andy after he had joined. I guess I didn't realize that was his profession. I thought it was more of just like a hobby. And it's pretty cool to see some of the work that he's done. Do you have stuff to add about that, Flint?
It was just something that you're being friends with him on Facebook that I noticed, and he really does make some very, very beautiful guitars. So good for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, do not have the ability to play guitar, so wouldn't have much use for me unless for a decoration piece. But it's pretty cool to. It's like one of those things where it's like, I mean, I wouldn't fathom like knowing that like people that like do something like that creative or whatnot, or one of those things. I just expect everyone to have like the very stereotypical like desk job, and so it's interesting to when you meet certain people that they do things that are really cool like that. We asked which standard era best represents the golden age of Magic, and he said when it was Mirage through Tempest, that standard type 2. So
that was fun.
Yeah, that was before my time, so I only have like the history books to look back. But so like was Prosperity Bloom like a thing past Mirage Block, like when it was in standard? Or
I don't think it was as much of a thing, but I wasn't playing until Tempest came out in that era, at least in like a standard format. So I didn't follow the format that closely, but right when Tempest dropped, I started playing it in an arena league, and it was a blast.
Okay. His favorite Magic archetype is Prison. So the Pirates deck, I think, is a representative of kind of what he likes to do. So that's it's always interesting to meet the people that like the Prison archetype, because I mean I feel like there's a stigma attached to that. So which card do you wish was good enough for Premodern? He says Morphling. It's interesting because I mean like
it sees some play.
I think it's good enough for Premodern. I don't know. Now I feel like it's a challenge now. Now I need to kill people with the Morphling, make Andy happy.
I've been killed by a Morphling.
I mean, and it's also like it's not like a card that like there aren't other cards that like do the same thing really better. Like as a control finisher, it's very like if you have the mana, it's very reliable. Like you can protect it and it can kill pretty quickly. It has an evasion and it still does a pretty decent job like on defense. Not as good one damage stacked, but I think it's still I think it's a reasonable card. It's a little bit maybe under the curve, but I think I wouldn't scoff at anyone for playing Morphling.
No. Agreed.
Which card do you wish was legal in Premodern? He says Remand, which is pretty cool. Well,
such a cool card.
Let me tell you guys, Memory Lapse is legal, and that's basically Remand. So
you don't get to draw a card, Mike.
Yeah, but they also they have to draw the same card. That's like drawing a card. If you make them skip a draw, isn't that kind of like drawing a card?
Yeah, but it's coming back next turn.
So what? How does
chances of having another answer?
What do you Remand? Remand gets coming back next turn. They're very similar.
You're gonna draw a card from Remand, and then you're gonna draw another card off the top of your library. So you're going too deep to find potentially another counter spell or another tempo answer, and they likely aren't going to be able to recast the spell that turn. So with Memory Lapse, yeah, it goes on top of their library, but if you don't get to dig more cards deep for more answers, it's not as good.
Well, they're definitely not going to be able to cast the card with that same turn on with Memory Lapse.
Yeah, but they're probably not going to anyway. Is my point.
So I don't know. I think Memory Lapse is underplayed.
To be continued.
Yes.
To be continued.
All right. We'll move over to Shawn. His professional job, he is the co-founder and chief technical officer of Phase Genomics, which is a biotech startup in Seattle. So that is a title. That's something fancy. So that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
And so this one, I don't know. I didn't ask Shawn about this, but we asked which standard era best represents Golden Age of Magic. His response was listed as 4. That's all I had. I don't know.
Chat.
I don't know what that means.
I
don't know if that's code for something. Is there a joke that I'm missing? But it was just 4. And so maybe he fell asleep on his keyboard briefly and hit the number 4 and moved on. But
sneezed.
Yeah, his favorite archetype is combo, and I think that's pretty clear, I guess, with the decks that he brought with the Torpors V and the Pros Bloom, and even the control deck he has a combo element in it. So the card that he wished was good enough for Premodern, he says Morphling and Spiritmonger, and he says, I know they get played, but they're not really good enough. So I guess that's kind of supportive of what I was saying, at least in terms of Morphling, that I think it's playable. It's just behind the curve, I think. So, all right. So it's a big brain inside joke. You know. All right.
Got it.
All right. He says, which card do you wish was legal in Premodern? Necropotence. Well, if you guys really want to play Necropotence, there's that. Is that this month?
Yeah, the Explorers League starts on the 15th, so sign up sooner rather than later. And Mike, I need to send you, I put together a deck list based on our conversation as well that I need you to take a look at. I'll send it to you, but don't say anything else.
Yep. I was doing the same, so I don't think mine was very good, though. We'll move on to our players for our second match tonight. We have Robin Lundh. He is a research analyst. I know I think he's at the same position because he was in New York for the first Premodern Showdown series, and now he's in Chicago. But yep. I think he's still with the same company. I'm not 100% sure, though. We asked, which standard era best represents the golden age of Magic? He says, I was a kitchen table player in 95 through 2000. So that's a big chunk to be a casual player. Well, I mean, like, not to be a casual player, but for him to be so invested, I guess, in Premodern and whatnot. I guess it's not like Premodern is competitive or anything, but it didn't take me long to find competitive Magic, I guess is what I'm saying. So he can't really say what his favorite era is, but he enjoyed Masks Block the most. So that's an interesting take. I mean, I didn't play during that format, but it sounded like it was pretty homogenous from what I know. I guess the standard era, I think it had a little bit more diversity, but I'm thinking of like the Masks Block format, and that was just like all rebels from what I know.
That's what I heard.
His favorite archetype is combo, so another combo player in our midst.
Excellent.
And he wishes that Goblin Bombardment was good enough, and he noted just in a value shell, or I guess I don't know if that's implying he thinks it's a reasonable card in maybe a combo deck. Maybe he's nodding to the deck that you played in the Fall Brawl, or the Fruity Pebbles that you played in the 64 deck Gauntlet. But
yeah.
I think he was talking about just in a traditional, like the Goblin or the Zombie Bombardment deck, I think was the example. Yeah.
He has chimed in and said and clarified.
Not in shit like Pebbles, as we said. All right. Doing fair things, he likes the Goblin Bombardment. So I know with like Bloodghast or Gravecrawler, that's where Goblin Bombardment had a brief period where it was played. I think it's outclassed in Legacy, but there was a period of time where it was played. And he wishes that Smallpox was legal in Premodern. I think that kind of fits with him playing Pox. But that makes me remember have you seen the World's Smallest Magic deck? It was like a product that was printed within the last couple years, I think. Have you ever seen it?
I have not.
No. So it's this company, and I think they do this for other things, but they made 2 decks of Magic, and these are like full print cards. Yes, these are smaller than Yu-Gi-Oh cards. These are they are probably 1.5 inches tall, I believe is probably the height, and maybe like 3/4 of an inch wide. They are very small, and they have like full text on them. They have like magic backs. They have the art on it. They're just shrunk down, and so you can play with these. Yes, cards for ants. That's pretty much what it is. And so I said, like, that's what I thought of with Smallpox, is just get them to print Pox in that small form, and then that's Smallpox. And then if you have a Premodern deck like that, then you can play it. So
I see what you did there.
Look it up. It is a product. Worlds. I think I can't remember what the card. Yeah, it's kind of like half a split card. I think it might actually be smaller than that. I'm not sure. All right, we'll finish things off with Anthony. He is a grad student, so still getting some education there. So that's always cool.
Respect.
Yep. The golden age of Magic, according to Anthony, is 2003. So that set would be. I'm trying to think. So
Is that Legions?
is that maybe that?
When did
Okay,
Scourge drop in
Odyssey through
2004?
Onslaught. Okay, Odyssey through Onslaught is what chat is saying. Okay,
Or
so that
Onslaught, okay.
Odyssey and Onslaught, the decks there. Blue. So I'm thinking of the Worlds in Berlin. That was Mirari's Wake. Goblin Bidding was a deck. There was Blue Green Madness. There was a Reanimator deck. There was Astro Slide. There was. Can't think of any more. I think that's a lot of the decks that were in the top 8 of that Worlds tournament. Was Mono Black Control? I don't think it was that prevalent once. Like it, I think that was a block deck primarily. But maybe the.
So this is Worlds Berlin 2003, right?
Yes.
So top 8 numbers 1 and 2 were Wake, 3 and 4 Blue Green Magnus, another Wake deck, Astral Slide, Goblin Bidding, and Reanimator. Those
There were
the decks
two Madness decks. Who was the second one? It was Dave Humphreys, and who was the other one?
It was Dave Humphreys and no, I'm sorry, there was just the one Madness deck.
Okay.
Just Dave Humphreys.
Okay.
So, yep, 3 Wakes, 1 Madness,
Reanimator,
1
right?
Slide, 1 Bidding, and 1 Reanimator.
Yep. So his favorite archetype is combo, and yeah, that's definitely what I think of when I think of Anthony. I feel like all the decks that he's played have been combo decks. So his card that he wishes into pre-modern would be Life from the Loam. I think in our first series that's what Patrick Burt said as well, and I know you can relate, Flint, because I know you're a fan of the lands deck in Legacy, and that is a very pivotal card.
It's so important.
It would be a very interesting card because it would give draw engines to green decks, because you could just have Life from the Loam and Tranquil Thicket, and it would be a very powerful engine to have those cycling lands.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at the lands decks the other day and wishing that we could take advantage of those more. There was a lands deck-ish that did pretty well in the top. I think it made top 8 a couple months ago, right? With Weathered Wayfarer. And I don't remember what else he was using to get lands back. But Life from the Loam would be great. Also Maze of Ith. Please, God, can we just include Maze of Ith? I won't ask for Tabernacle. But please Maze of Ith.
I was reprimanded in chat by that I skipped one of the lines. Which card do you wish was good enough for pre-modern? And that would be Nefarious Lich. So if you guys aren't familiar with that card, it is black for an enchantment. Whenever you would gain life, you draw that many cards. Whenever you take damage, you have to exile a card from your graveyard for each damage, and if you can't, you lose the game. And then I think the worst part about the card is if Nefarious Lich would leave play, you lose the game. So otherwise I think maybe without that last clause, then maybe you could brew around it, but it is a risky business going to the Nefarious Lich work. So I applaud anyone who is brave enough to try it out, and kudos to you. But
really needed Shroud.
yeah. So all right, I did hint at something that I was going to reveal on stream, and I guess I did talk about this a little bit earlier, but now it's time to make our formal announcement, and this is...
Wait, can I play a suspenseful noise?
Nope, I already did it.
Okay.
Well...
All right, what do you got? Oh, there it is.
I got the wrong slide up. Oh, man, hold on. Oh, there we go. There we go. So the Spring Fling of 2021 is coming up shortly. You are able to sign up now. I will put the signups right after I finish this stream. And what the tournament is It's kind of similar to the monthly tournaments, but there are a few twists that we do. The primary thing is the tournament is structured into batches, and the first batch you will play 4 opponents that are going to be in your same region, so they should be easier to pair. You should be able to play on weeknights. So you have a shorter amount of time to play 4 matches. I think it's 10 days. You can see that blue part is when the first batch is. And so after those matches are played by everyone, we will repair everyone into groups based on their standings from the first batch. So like 4-0 players will be playing against each other, 3-1 will be playing each other, and so on and so forth. Which is also kind of cool. I think I haven't really highlighted this in other formats, but saying that like if you're maybe less interested in winning a tournament and more interested in doing something cool, you might not do as well in batch 1. But then your second batch, you might be people with the same kind of goals that are trying new things and maybe aren't as spiky as the other ones, and you might get matches that are kind of closer on an equal footing. So even if you do poorly in the first batch, there could be some rewards, I guess, by playing on in the second batch. So after those 8 rounds are played, then we will do a top cut, depending on the number of players. But we will take everyone who has a 7-1 record or better. You will advance to the elimination round. So it could be, I don't know how many people are going to sign up, but if it needs to be top 16 or more or less, or we'll adjust to that and figure it out based on those records. For this tournament, your deck lists are required. You don't need to have your deck list ready when you sign up. What we're going to do is you can register, and there's like a box that you'll check saying, I'll fill out my deck list later, though I will expect you to complete that deck registration prior to playing your first match. So let me bring the other slide and think if anything is needed. Okay, so just a note that just like the monthly tournaments, the gold bordered World Championship Collector's Edition, International Edition, those cards are legal for this tournament. And to note, there will not be a April monthly tournament because the Spring Fling will take the place of it. So I will put up the registration. We'll have a little over 2 weeks. And then on Friday is when we will start the Spring Fling of 2021. So, Flint, I know you have maybe a little bit of nostalgia from our past Spring Fling that we did last year. Do you want to talk about what happened last year for the Spring Fling?
I won.
Yes. And what deck did you play?
I played a lands deck, actually. Yeah. So I took the deck that Anthony Harrison originally brewed, and then I played in the small 8 deck gauntlet that you and I do periodically. And then I made some changes to it and ran it in Spring Fling. And I think it was a great deck for the meta at the time. There weren't a lot of wastelands running around, that's for sure. And so cards like Glacial Chasm were really, really strong. And a lot of people just didn't know what I was up to. So it did really well. It was fun. And all of my opponents were great. And the top 8 matches, I think, are on YouTube. You can go watch them. It was a lot of fun to play. So I would recommend everybody play it. The way that it's organized is really great. Thanks, Michael, again for running it. And as I understand it, you have a deck for me to play in the Spring Fling.
Yeah, it's pretty rough around the edges. So I mean, you can pass if you want, but I'll try and tune it with the limited time I have right now to get it to a point where I think it's.
All right, everybody. The tournament is on hold until Mike has tuned the deck that I'm going to play.
Yeah. All right. So I will have the information, the links and whatnot. I will post it in the Facebook group after the stream, and you guys can register right away. So hope some of you have been watching the Premodern Showdown series and are inspired to play for yourself. And this is a great opportunity to play. If you guys have any questions, you can contact me. I'm the TO for this one. Andrew gets a well-deserved break from running all the monthlies, so I'll take the Spring Fling. And I guess the other thing to note is if any of you want to record your match, just the play, you can do it with any simple setup. If you just have like OBS or anything that captures the the recording of your match, and as long as they stay static, is like they're staying in the same place, then you can send that video to me, and I will do my best efforts to do commentary with some of my friends, and they either won't be in the tournament or it'll be past a point where your deck information going public or to this other commentator won't affect the tournament. So that will be something that I'm looking forward to, because I always have fun doing the commentary on those recorded matches. I think it is pretty cool. It can provide a nice clean experience where you get to cut out all the shuffling and just get down to business and just do all the commentary. I have a lot of fun with those. So if anyone's interested in getting their match covered, as long as your opponent's fine with it being recorded, then you can send it my way, and I'll try and do some commentary over it. Okay, so we are just going to get ready for our second match of the night, and we are going to take a quick break, and I will throw up our slides that promote the other Premodern resources. We'll be back shortly, and we will have our second match ready. So we will see you soon. Okay, everybody, we are back from the break. We now have Robin and Anthony ready to go for our second match. We have our band screen. Let me make sure I'm going to the right one. All right, here we go. So, Robin, the 3 decks that he normally has available to him are Oath of Clerics, Blue, White, Red Wizards, and Pox. And Anthony has brought Tortured Madness, Blue, White Wizards, and Dig Site. So we won't have a Wizard's Mirror because Anthony has banned the Blue, White, Red Wizards from Robin, and Robin has banned the Tortured Madness from Anthony. So of the 2 remaining decks, Robin has selected the Pox deck, while Anthony has opted for the Blue, White Wizards deck. So this could be an interesting matchup. Let's go over to the deck lists. We have seen both of these decks in action before in the Premodern Showdown series. What is going on with this Pox list, Flint?
Right. So again, we've covered this before, so I won't go too in depth. But essentially, Robin is hoping to strip cards out of his opponent's hand as fast as possible, land a bottomless pit, and essentially kind of lock them out of the game, or kind of a soft lock in terms of their resources. And then with cards like Nether Spirit and the Rack, close the game out. Of course, Curse Scroll's there as well. Depending on how the game goes, he may or may not have access to it. The namesake card is Pox, makes you do math, 1/3 of various permanents rounded up. It's funny because Robin himself says Pox is the worst card in the deck. We'll see if it has any game tonight. But really just a mono black prison strategy here.
Yep, I think that sums it up pretty well. Let's go over to the Blue-White Wizards deck. So this is a tempo aggro control deck. It has obviously a lot of wizards, mostly blue. Medley Mage is a blue-white wizard. And I guess kind of the highlight here, I would say, is the Patron Wizard. The blue for the 2/2 that gives you the option of tapping an untapped wizard you control to force spike a spell. And you can use that even when the turn you play Patron Wizard. You can tap it to its ability. So that in combination with Winter Orb is kind of exciting because your opponent is unlikely to have a lot of excess mana floating around. But beyond that, it's just kind of a deck with a number of counter spells, a little bit of disruption, and then kind of builds up a board. It can take care of resolved creatures, which probably isn't that big of a deal in this matchup with tapping abilities, whether it be a Fetto Grifter or the Stormscape Apprentice. And so it's a blue-white tribal deck, but it kind of takes the role of an aggro, but also has some control-ish elements. So I'm not sure exactly how this will line up against the Pox deck, if it will be able to kind of flood the board and then control the game. I guess the counter spells is what's really interesting, because once something like a bottomless pit is in play, then cards like Counterspell and Mana Leak are a lot less effective. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Okay. If you want to know, let our players know that they can begin whenever they're ready. We did a die roll, and Robin was the winner of that. So it looks like Anthony has mulliganed once, which is not ever a thing you want to do against the deck that makes you discard a bunch of cards. So, but you're gonna have to do it sometimes. So he's hopefully improved his hand enough that he'll be competitive against the Pox deck. All right. So what do you think is the most important card for Robin to resolve, and what do you think Anthony is looking to get in play? Oh, it looks like I guess Robin has also taken a mulligan. He's putting a card at the bottom before we start. Yeah, I do think Bottomless Pit is probably the most important card that Robin could resolve. It might not be the best if he's behind on the board, which is a possibility against Anthony's deck. But the if they're kind of ever at parity, then I think Bottomless Pit is very effective. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how well Winter Orb interacts with against the Pox deck, because cards like Curse Scroll obviously is very mana hungry. So and you could get it in a spot where you're not able to play your spell that you draw, and if you have a Bottomless Pit in play, then you're going to end up discarding it later.
Yep. The Pox deck has that weird tension between, resource denial via Pox, but also wanting to have enough lands in play to activate cards like Curse Scroll.
So we see Robin has deployed the Rack and then also a Powder Keg. So Powder Keg actually is a pretty important card. Just going back, thinking of the deck list, there were a good amount of ones and a good amount of twos. And I guess it's diversified. I think it's like 8, 8, and 8 for the converted mana cost of the Wizards.
Is it a Void Mage?
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess there's more twos than maybe I thought. But yeah, that is Void Mage Prodigy, the promo art. That might be like the Time Spiral one. Everyone kind of like made fun of the original art, and I mean, I guess even Kai didn't really like it. But I mean, I don't think it looks bad. I don't know. I mean,
You
maybe
pulling it up?
to me, that doesn't look that bad. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like it. So
Looks like he's doing a very large pelvic thrust.
yeah. And we saw in Innocent Blood take out that Prodigy. Innocent Blood, I thought it was always just a cool card. It's always neat when you have cards that are symmetrical, but you're able to break the symmetry, and it's just kind of an elegant card that I like. All right, so oh man, what's the name of this wizard? Is this is a Mirage one, right? I can't remember the name of this wizard.
I'm looking at his list. Is it? No, it's not a Guild Mage.
It is. It should be a guild. It is a guild mage.
Is it Shaper Guild Mage?
Yeah, Shaper Guild Mage.
Okay, sweet.
What did it? Did it? Oh, it didn't get through. Okay. All right. So we're still at 20.
Yep.
Okay.
Giggling at some of the chat responses here for comical flops jokes. A Midsummer Night's Dream Halls is pretty good.
All right, so we see
Distracting me from the gameplay. Sorry.
a duress is cast. Anthony reveals his hand of 2 Winter Orbs, a Swords of Plowshares, an Attica Wastes, and another island. So, guess you take Swords of Plowshares here, right? Because you're not able to.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there could be a sequence like if Winter Orb really is the trouble card because you have 1 Powder Keg that would be able to deal with the Winter Orb. So I guess there's a reason you could take the 1 Winter Orb.
Yeah, I guess we don't know the rest of his hand and if he's hoping to win via the rack or if he's more worried about another spirit getting exiled.
Or if he's just not planning on playing any creatures or activating the Mishra's Factory for a while and then resolving a breeding or a bottomless pit, that he's not really worried about a removal spell. He figures it'll get discarded eventually.
How do you feel about the art on the newer Winter Orb, in that version at least?
I mean, it's decent art. I mean,
I really like it. I really like it. I know it's very sort of plain. You know, it's winter and there's an orb there, but I think it looks good. I like it a lot.
is the new one. Yep. Yeah, I guess I'm partial to usually the original printings. I guess I make certain exceptions for a few cards, but I don't know, the polar bear is pretty cool.
Polar bear is cool. I mean, the old one is my favorite, but this is one of those moments where it's an exception where I'm like, I actually like the new art as well. Would I play it in pre-modern? Probably not, but I wouldn't, fault others for playing it. I think it looks cool. Yeah, that polar bear is sweet.
Okay, so did Robin attack with the factory? And
I believe so, yes. So Anthony is at 18
so
still?
did Anthony decline to use Swords of Plowshares on that Mishra's Factory? Like, what else does he want to use it on? I mean, maybe he just wants his mana more. Wait, did he untap more than 1 land? Didn't he tap 2 to play the Winter Orb and then untap 2?
Good question. I don't know. Chat.
I think he had just
Help
played
us out here.
I think he had played the Winter Orb last turn and then untapped all his lands. All right, maybe I missed a turn. All right. Okay.
Okay. Sweet. Thanks, chat.
All right. So I guess
Whoa, it doesn't get enchantments.
you're talking about the powder keg.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you can let them know. I mean, shouldn't have an impact for a little bit, but I guess the reason to keep the Swords of Plowshares in your hand maybe is to prevent you taking from more damage from the rack. But looks like Anthony uses his opportunity when Robin is attacking with the Mishra's Factory to use the swords. But now it looks like he doesn't have any cards in hand. So Anthony's down to 12 already. Okay.
All right. Triumph's back.
Okay, we have that corrected, but I mean, that doesn't really change much from this position.
No.
All right, so he'll play the Stormscape Apprentice, which is a 2/2 right now, thanks to the shared triumph.
Remember, folks, Powder Keg does not destroy enchantments. First month that I played in the Premodern Monthlies, I assumed that it did, and it cost me a game.
You might be thinking of Ratchet Bomb.
I was.
It's got it going on.
It does.
All right, so we see a duress that will miss. Just an island in Anthony's hand, but that means I'm behind on damage from the rack. All right, so now Robin has added a curse scroll to play, so this damage is going to add up quick from Anthony. He basically needs to not play anything, but then in that point, Robin's either able to deal damage with curse scroll, and that's as long as Robin doesn't have any discard spells with like Funeral Charm or Pox or Bottomless Pit. So things seem kind of tricky from Anthony's perspective. Looks like the Curse Scroll named Dark Ritual, which is the card in Robin's hand, and Anthony's all the way down to 4. And he is pretty much there's I don't know what he's gonna do from this situation. I don't think there's much he can do.
Yeah, he's in a bad spot.
Yep, and he will pack it up.
Scooping him up.
As the Curse Scroll will be able to finish him off with a combination of the wreck. So the first game goes to the Pox player, which
All right.
I don't think is too surprising. I guess on paper, I think it had a slight edge. Let's look at the sideboards to see if the 15 cards can change anything. So I have Anthony's deck up first. We have 4 disenchants, which definitely have a number of targets. The Rack, Bottomless Pit, and Curse Scroll, and an active Mishra's Factory, Powder Keg. There are just targets galore. So I think all 4 disenchants will be brought in. Counter Magic, I don't think Counterspell is very good, just because the timing of it can be very awkward against discard spells. What do you think of Worship?
It's kind of hard to keep a creature on the board for Anthony, right? Like, aren't most of them vulnerable to some combination of Powder Keg, Curse Scroll, Innocent Blood? I mean, obviously Innocent Blood, but like the damage spells, Spinning Darkness.
If a Shared Triumph is in play, then Curse Scroll isn't as effective, and I don't know. But yes, I guess there are ways to kind of get multiple creatures with 1 card.
What do you think about the Crypt for Nether Spirit? I mean, is it even worth it? It feels like Robin's deck has so many angles.
It's just 1 Nether Spirit though, right?
Does it just have running the 1?
I think so.
Let me look. Yeah, it's just the 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be bringing that in. So, yeah, I think the disenchants come in for Anthony. So we'll look at Robin's sideboard. What looks interesting here? Engineered Plague.
Engineered Plague and Nullbruch seem fun.
Do
you bring in Negator in this matchup?
It certainly, well, I guess on paper, there's definitely a lot of problematic cards like Swords to Plowshares and then the Tappers. There's 8 different Tappers with a Fetto Grifter and the Stormscape Apprentice, but you don't really ever get punished per se. Like, it's not like it's gonna get bolted or anything. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the problem is like it's not going to block. You can't really block any of the wizards with Negator profitably. Nope. And I think in a lot of situations, Anthony's will have creatures in play. So I don't know. Are there any cards that don't look very appealing in the main? Is it just Pox? Is he just going to port out Pox?
He's probably going to port out Pox.
I think Pox seems fine.
I think it seems pretty decent in this match too.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I just don't have any experience with the deck.
Yeah, I think you're pretty well set up in general. You could take out I don't know.
I mean, I guess you could take out 1 Pox for an Engineered Plague, right? I think you definitely bring an Engineered Plague. And then do you bring in Nullbruch? I like it. I kind of would want it in the deck, but what would you take out for it? Dark Ritual?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they sideboard it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any cards that just don't seem like good per se. But
Okay. All right. Well,
I forgot to
we
do the
shall
I forgot to
see.
do the poll again, just like
We got to
last
do
time.
an informed poll now.
Yes,
So now,
informed
now
polls.
that you've all seen the first game and are biased. Turtle Man's here.
All right, so now we have poll is up. Who will win the second match? Let us know. Side scroller. Thank you for the follow. We appreciate it. Also, it looks like the man with the cat. Thank you for the follow. And I think there was another one earlier tonight. I think it was actually before the show. BK Ropat. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate the support, guys. Thanks for help growing the pre-modern community. All right, let's give a game win to Robin. I guess that was deserved. He did earn that. Guess I can vote. I cast a vote.
I know who you voted for. I know who you voted for.
I mean, I guess given the results. Yep. All right. So I would expect even just like being on the play though could really change things for Anthony. Him getting some creatures out and having counter magic, just countering a few key spells and then having some pressure in play, I think could potentially be difficult for Robin. Dad Elemental, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. What would be the power and toughness of a Dad Elemental?
What would what?
Be the power and toughness of a Dad Elemental.
I mean, it's got like infinite toughness.
Infinite toughness?
Yeah. It's that dad strength.
That's okay. Well, like one power.
Yeah. It's emasculated yet very tough.
And then if there's a mom elemental in play, that would reduce all dad elementals' power to 0. That's how it would work, I think. Looks like the majority have chimed in and said that Robin will take the second match. I think that might have been the result, even if I had asked the poll prior to Robin winning the game. But I think being up a game definitely can't hurt his odds. A dad elemental's power can fluctuate between 1 and 10. Yeah, maybe depending on like the number of creatures in play, its power and toughness gets bigger. I can see that.
Yes, as king. 10 minus star, where star is the number of kids you have.
Okay, so I was thinking that it gets bigger, but depending with more creatures on the battlefield. But I guess maybe it gets smaller. Oh, really? Did Pox? Because it was not an expensive card a while ago, but there have been a lot of pre-modern cards that have been going up in price.
$13 for Pox. Wow. This is the world we're living in.
Yep.
The evil speculators. Ryan, you are correct.
Ruining our format. Running our format. No, I can't tell if there's an I there. Either running or ruining.
It's ruining. Yeah, I think either way you're correct, Mike.
All right, we're back to the match. We have an island. Robin says, no. I'm not done mulliganing. I don't. Oh, okay. I gotta put cards in the bottom. So he said. It looks like Robin is eyeing 2 cards to put on the bottom. Or is that just one? Okay.
So we've got Dad Elementals, Rampage 5, Trample 1, return target child to the room for timeout, end of turn. Or Trample 1, return. Okay. I think Old Fogey is probably just the dad card.
All right, we see a duress to reveal 2 disenchants, 2 meddling mage, and 2 other lands. So nice, clean, easy disenchant to take. Don't have to think about that one.
Pretty solid keep there for Anthony.
Yep.
What do you name? Innocent Blood?
I don't know.
If you got 2 in hand, right? You got to hope that he doesn't have a way to deal with, that one. But maybe in the second one, you name what? Powder Keg? I don't know.
Curse Scroll.
Yeah. He does have another disenchant, but Robin will probably take care of the disenchant before he runs out an artifact.
That's true.
You can always go like the Meddling Mage beatdown plan. If you name Innocent Blood and then what would it be? Would you name Powder? I guess what's faster, Curse Scroll or Powder Keg?
I would say as the game goes on, I think Curse Scroll is probably more threatening because if he just has 4 mana, like a Curse Scroll off the top could take out a Medley Mage, when a disenchant could take out like a Powder Keg, and you wouldn't be able to interact with the scroll.
Got it.
But you could name a lot of the cards, I guess.
So Anthony's going to be down to 18, right?
Yeah, from casting his spells. So he does have the Patron Wizard in play that we talked about. So this makes it interesting of, do you want to attack with your creature or not?
Fair point.
It's always an interesting tension of whether he wants to deal damage or leave up a wizard to tap to his Patron Wizard. The gold card is Meddling Mage. That is a newer printing of the Crispicula Invitational card. So a Fetto Grifter has been added. That is a really interesting card, and can be really powerful once you're way ahead. It converts 2 wizards into tap any permanent. So we see an Innocent Blood, and Anthony's going to tap all his wizards. Robin will pay 3 mana, and then the Innocent Blood will resolve, which he will sacrifice the Meddling Mage.
And we didn't say it earlier, but the card that was named was Curse Scroll.
So interesting that he chose to keep a Fetto Grifter over the Meddling Mage. What do you think about that? What is the? I mean, because I guess the tap ability is, because if you're just tapping lands, that's a worse rate, pretty much, than like trying to counter a spell.
Yeah.
Like just leave those 2 wizards up to make them pay 2. And yeah, the Innocent Blood's just hanging out there. He's the sorceries don't get to live in the spotlight for very long, and this Innocent Blood is taking a new approach.
I can empathize. If you ever played against me, I love to leave like enlightened tutors and things like out on the battlefield. I always just kind of like, yep, there it is. I'm going to search my deck, take my turn, and it's still going to hang out.
There's a zombie on the card art. I mean, it kind of looks like a creature. At least
kind of does.
At least it went to the graveyard and didn't go back to the hand. That would have been real awkward. So, but yeah,
I would have loved to have seen it attack though. JSS King.
So Robin's at 18 and Anthony's at 17. Is that where we're at? Okay. And here we see a curse scroll. And it looks like there is... Well, so the thing here is Anthony can just make him pay some mana so that he can't activate it right away and then disenchant it.
Yep.
I think that's likely what we're going to see. Though there could be like a card like Dark Ritual, right?
Yeah.
But I guess you can't really do much about that from Anthony's perspective.
No.
And I mean, one activation of Curse Scroll, I guess it would get the Patron Wizard most likely. What do you call a lizard who is following COVID protocol? Masking Rootwalla. I think I got this one. Did I get it right?
That's only correct if it's what do you call a push-up lizard who is following COVID protocol.
All right. Anytime we can bring up the push-up lizard in a Premodern Showdown Series, I'm happy. So
agreed.
So we are at the point of where these wizards are going aggro. So they are attacking. So there is 2 2/2s and 2 1-powers. So he's attacking for 6 a turn. So there's a 2-turn clock if it all stands. We have another curse scroll. This activation will be targeting, presumably, could be Patron Wizard, could be Medley Mage. Oh, there's 3 cards in hand. This is not a guarantee. We get a little bit of gambling here. All right. Oh. So Robin hits it, and then he gets to use it to kill the Stormscape Apprentice. That is just the biggest tongue twister, apparently. So I don't know if that was a 1 and 3 or a 2 out of 3 or a 3 out of 3, but very fortunate for Robin to hit that curse scroll right away.
And Funeral Charm was actually the card that was named by that second Medley Mage.
Oh wow. Very interesting.
So that must have been off the top.
Okay, so I mean that is probably the best draw for Anthony, right? If you're able to make a clock, now it's a 3-power and I think the Fatal Grifter is a 1/2. Like a base.
I think it's a 1/1.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
it is a 1/1. Okay. I was thinking it was a 1/2. But so he gets an attack for 5 there, right? Yes. Robin's at 7. All right, we've got requests from the chat for the card fetcher. I think the only time this guy usually shows up is when he's on the promo card of Grim Lavamancer, but we'll put
Obstinate Familiar.
Obstinate Familiar. This guy does not seem like a push-up lizard. This seems like
it's a lounging lizard.
Yes. So
not to be confused with a lot lizard.
Okay, so Robin has played. That's an Ensnaring Bridge, right?
Yep.
So this would be interesting if Anthony's able to build up. I guess Robin has so many lands. It would be really funny to see Anthony kind of like port all of Robin's lands with a Fatal Grifter to make him lose or build up cards in his hand so that he can attack through an Ensnaring Bridge. But I don't think that's going to come into play.
No.
We see a Dark Ritual getting cast, and I think that is just to ensure that the Curse Scroll is resolving. Right? Is that Is that the sequence that we have? Dark Ritual was
so.
cast, and
Yeah.
was it end up countered then? I guess it was. If Ensnaring Bridge was cast for 3, and then he only had 2 mana. You see an Epheto Grifter. So this is 7 points of power. Robin only has 0 cards in hand.
Robin's got 1.
Oh, 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Drastic Swords.
how many disenchants have been used? Or 2 of them are gone, right?
I was gonna say at least 1.
I think because he started with 2 in his hand, right at the beginning of the Attic Address.
Yeah.
Wait. Why did that Funeral Charm kill the Epheto Grifter? Shared Triumph is in play, right? What did I miss? Was it revealed to Curse Scroll? Okay, it was a Curse Scroll activation. Okay.
Alright, cool.
That makes more sense. And then I think it was cast to make him discard a card. That would make sense. Good old Funeral Charm.
It is my favorite charm.
Is it?
Yes.
You know, like Vision Charm?
No. I like the ones that remind me of death. And blood.
Is there a blood charm?
There should be.
That sounds like a magic card.
There is bloodlust.
Is there no card called Blood Charm? How many charms are played in the PSS?
We have Trickery Charm.
Yep. Funeral Charm.
Charm.
Those are the 2 I could think of. I don't know if there's more.
Lucky Charms. I think it's just the 2.
All right, so Anthony's able to. He's not able to attack with those, right? Because they have more power than the number of cards in hand, right? Why were they getting tapped?
Chat, I think we were just talking about charms that are actually in decks in the series. But yeah, High Charm and Emerald Charm are played in the monthlies.
Yeah, and Vision Charm. I don't know if anyone had said that one.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. I've seen people cast Dromar's Charm, I think. I don't know if great is the word I would use to describe Dromar's Charm. I mean, it's cool, but I don't feel like you're getting a deal with any of the modes you choose for sure. Though I guess that's true with a lot of the pre-modern era charms. Is none of the modes feel like you're really getting away with anything.
The modern charms are like insanely good.
Yeah. So at this point, I mean, Anthony pretty much needs a disenchant. Is there, or just a bunch of shared triumphs? No, because then he just eventually just died to the curse scroll.
Yeah.
I guess he's at 14, so he's
got some time.
There are 2 patron wizards in play. Those are 3/3s. But yeah, it seems like it's gonna be difficult for Robin to ever have more than 2 cards in hand if he doesn't want to. So he might just take a slow curse scroll death. We have the rack. All right, so this is a problematic card for resolving. This will definitely increase the clock, and then there's a scalding tongs.
Those tongs, the tongs, tongs, tongs.
Yes, this
I get you.
someone's doing some. I was gonna say grilling, but they don't look anything like grilling tongs or cooking tongs. But what is the thing in the background? Is that a human?
It's some sort of a human creature, whatever, holding the pliers.
He just kind of looks like a blob.
It is blob person.
Like I think this guy was printed in Lorwyn. Here, I'll show him. This is what he reminds me of. If I spelled it right. Come on. That
Modern
guy.
card, trigger warning.
Here we go. Do you see
Do
you see the resemblance?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's uncanny. There's no way they're the same. It's the same picture. All right, maybe not. All right, Anthony his life has been halved since I last updated it. He's at 7. We have more shared triumphs, protects it from curse scroll, but that's not the issue. He's on a clock and he needs a disenchant, and it needs to be quick. I think he has to take a damage to cast that.
He does.
Yep.
I'm just gonna pull up his deck here. Yeah, I mean he should be rocking 4, so he has outs.
Is there a bounce spell of any sorts? Oh, no, Mishra's Factory would make things troublesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he's out of time. I think it's unlikely. He's at 3. It would need to be right now, and there's still a Mishra Factory that would block. So, and there's a Cabal Pit in play. Oh my goodness.
I like the artwork on Cabal Pit.
Ooh.
Oh, there it is, Mike.
Awesome.
Just slams it. Look at that.
We did talk about this, and I completely forgot about it. Wait. Why are we?
Did Robin scoop?
Robin has some outs. Oh, he took it. Oh, he took a damage to cast it and then got scrolled. Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Oh, no.
I was gonna say Robin definitely would have outs to that. All right, let's jump in to listen to the players.
All right, sounds good.
Like being at 6 is actually relevant when the damage is being done in 3 damage chunks.
Yeah. I just think even at 3/3, they're hard enough to kill. Like if you can get around Curse Scroll, not like a ball pit. But if you can get around Curse Scroll there, I think that's this. I guess a second share triumph means you can play your 1/1 safely too, which is great. But I think it maybe shouldn't have been the priority there. I don't know. It's tough.
Like I said, I feel like my thought process was that just getting the disenchant isn't going to be enough without enough power on board. But then again, you had the Cabal Pit, and I would have needed to, even with the second share triumph would have won in a single swing absent the Cabal Pit. But you had the Cabal Pit, so yeah, I just don't think it was correct to play the shared triumph.
I see the point, but I don't think it was correct. Probably. What did you take out? Those worship.
So yeah, I brought them all in because the only life loss, I took out the Winter Orbs because I just don't think they do a lot against versus you.
I mean, they're okay. They do shut down Curse Scroll pretty well, which is a strong thing to do.
Yeah, I just felt like so much of your interaction only cost 1 mana. That if you're able to just charm my wizards out and innocent blood like all day long, then it just seemed I don't know, it didn't do much last game, but and then I didn't think that I'd be able to keep enough wizards on the board to get the full lock of like Grifter, Winter Orb, and then tap your lands down. Like the fact that this is not opposition is like pretty brutal against your deck because it's hard to keep a critical mass of wizards on the board. But I wasn't sure. I didn't think through the matchup all that much in the lead up of the week. Like I didn't really have like a dedicated sideboard plan.
Yeah, I actually hadn't even decided what I had not even decided what I was playing when I decided what to ban. I was just like, oh shit, I need to ban something. Okay, he has one deck that is good against this card. I like this card. I'll ban that one. That was my only reasoning. And then I was like, Hoyt messaged me like, what are you playing? And I was like, oh, I guess Pox is fun. I guess I want to run back Pox. So I'll play.
Yeah, I thought Pox was likely, not because I thought that the Clerics was like, you know,
like Rockland is gonna be really hard for your deck here too, right? But so here's the thing, I didn't think about your worships. I like did not look at your sideboards. And the worships do seem really good. I guess I have the drain. I have the drain zombie in the clerics deck, but that's like the only way I have to deal with worship in the entire deck. So that's in this card.
Well, clerics, there's the Shepherd of Rot. If you can get a life advantage.
Yeah, that's the drain zombie.
Yeah. And then in the sideboard you have Cabal Archon. But yeah, I was looking at it.
Archon is still damage.
Oh, is it?
Maybe
I thought it was life loss.
I've put that card in so many sideboards, but I never cast it.
Pretty sure.
I think it's
yeah, it loses life. You're right. Okay,
yeah.
That's a sweet tech against it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just like, okay, well, if he plays Pox, then the only life loss, as far as I know in the deck, is actual Pox, which can only kill you if you're at 1.
Yeah. The thing with worship is more like I have 8 1-drop removal spells, Curse Scroll, Pox. Like I just expected to keep you low, but I didn't account for like the combo of Shared Triumph plus Worship is nasty. Like if you have 2 Shared Triumph and a Worship, that is going to be really hard for me to get out of. Really hard. So you and like we saw, you had those cards, so we like it wasn't far away.
Yeah, but the relevance of the Adakar Waste life loss was huge.
Yeah, that's very true, and that's hilarious because I was sitting there thinking, I had my starting hand was like my 7 when I had to put one away was Swamp, Wasteland, Funeral Charm, Curse, Scroll, something, and I couldn't decide. I was like, what if I draw a Pox and I sit here with 2 Swamps and I feel like a dingus? We were just talking about how all your decks are Wasteland proofs. Whatever, I'll put Wasteland in the bottom. And then you have the hand with 2 Medley Mage and 1 White Source, and it's your pain land. And I was like, God damn it. that one hurt a little bit, but I managed. I guess I should unmute. Have you unmuted them?
I have not unmuted them.
I guess we should probably do.
We're just listening to you guys, so.
We're always listening.
They are always
I just see you guys laughing, so like I'm like, I might as well talk to them.
Well, that was interesting. I mean, I felt like there was the second game. It was a little bit back and forth where it seemed like there was definitely hope for the Wizards deck, and then it like kind of got closed out, and then we didn't follow exactly what happened at the end because we weren't sure if Robin had like scooped to the worship or like because someone said he has no outs, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure he has outs even from the situation. And then someone explained like that you had to take a damage and go down to 2, and then you just died to Curse Scroll.
He was at 3, so I was like, he told me he's dead. He said he ripped the worship, and I said, well, just make the play and I'll respond for this play, you know.
So the one play I want to talk about was the Curse Scroll activation where you had 3 cards in hand. So you named Funeral Charm and hit. What were the other 2 cards in your hand? It was.
I don't even remember what the third was, but I had 2 Funeral Charms.
Okay.
And we had Medley Mage me naming Funeral Charm. So
okay.
I was pissed off at that point. So I was like, get rid of that mage.
That makes sense. Yeah.
He named. I duress him. I said 2 Medley Mages. I have a Curse Scroll in hand and 2 Funeral Charms in my starting hand, and he goes Medley Mage, and I'm like, okay, what is gonna name? He names Curse Scroll, and I'm looking at my hand of Curse Scroll and 2 Funeral Charms, and I'm like, okay, Swamp, go. And I think
you innocent blooded, or you got rid of the Medley Mage somehow.
Well, that wasn't that wasn't until a little bit later, right? So you only had one in play for a long time.
The next play was Patron Wizard, I believe.
Yeah. The next play was Patron Wizard. Thinking about it, I'm wondering if there was a reason why I didn't just double Funeral Charm the Medley Mage, the first one. I think it was because if I double Funeral Charm, it was a 2-for-1, and then that's just to get to play my Curse Scroll, and I knew you had a Disenchant now. So it didn't feel like a worthy, the effort wouldn't have been worth it. But then when I finally got to play the Curse Scroll, that's when you played then you had a Patron out, so my Funeral Charms were hard to cast, and you played the second Medley Mage naming Funeral Charm, and I had 2 Charms in hand. So like you said, you had the Soul Reads.
Had the Soul Read. And then there was another time where I was just like, you just play your. I'm moving to attack. I'm moving to attack, but play the Dark Ritual that you have in hand to get yourself down to 1. You're just like, Dark Ritual. So I may lose games, but I at least know apparently what's in my opponent's hands at all times.
Read me really well there. Yeah, the Dark Ritual was a good rip for the bridge there.
Yeah.
But you made the right choice countering it, so I couldn't get a Curse Gold activation out of it at least.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, and that's kind of the big thing that I was fearing post-board was Ensnaring Bridge. So that's I was like, I gotta bring in Disenchants.
Yeah.
Disenchant's good against your deck anyway, just because you have so many just back-breaking artifacts and enchantments in the list.
I think the thing with Pox these days, and I know there are players who still play 4 Pox. Inverted Plasma is the name of a man on Discord who plays nothing but Pox. He loves 4 Pox. But like people like me and Andy, we're more like 2 to 3 Pox. Like it's a decent card to have, but it's not really a Pox deck anymore. It's just a rack deck, right? And it's just so good at overloading with artifacts that you need to have so many disenchants to get rid of all the good cards.
Yeah.
It's a really nice thing.
Well, that's why I felt like even near the end of that second game, even if I had drawn the disenchant, like it I mean,
yeah, what are you pointing at?
Without Shared Triumph, it wouldn't have been enough because there was just enough damage on the table that, and again, that's why I played that second Shared Triumph, because I was just like, well, either a combination of Funeral Charm plus Curse Scroll or the Cabal Pit and a Curse Scroll, they're going to kill these 3/3s anyway, and then it won't matter if I get the Disenchant because I won't have enough power to swing through for the win before I die anyway. So like there were a couple of turns where if I'd drawn the Disenchant, like I think could have maybe forced to game 3, but it was just too many turns of just not drawing what I needed and you just ripping the damage dealing artifacts. That's just like the clock was just getting too quick.
I ripped the rack the turn I had to upkeep. I didn't have to, but when you forced me to upkeep acted Curse Scroll, so I couldn't play it because you would have countered it with Patron stuff. But then next turn I ripped the Tongs right after, so I could just play Curse Scroll into Tongs, and that felt like a pretty damn strong turn.
Yeah, and it's the hard thing against some decks, especially when they actually get a lot of lands in play of just that decision making of like when you have Patron Wizard and / or a Pedo Grifter of just like what am I supposed to be doing right now? Am I supposed to be holding back to not let anything get through, or am I supposed to be pushing for damage to actually end the game out sooner? And I think that is the hardest thing for me at least, because I don't I tap creature sideways to counter things and tap things. I don't turn creature sideways to get damage. That's the hardest decision making for me in playing this list of like figuring out when am I going to try and lock somebody out, and when should I just be going for the jugular and trying to end the game.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, last week I missed lethal and did not attack. So with my wizards, so apparently it's a thing with wizards to just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't necessarily know if it would have changed anything. I'll have to like kind of rewatch it and
I think
how much damage did I miss out on versus.
There's no way you locked out 2 Funeral Charms in my hand, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know that. So to you, I was sitting with 3 possibly really good cards in hand. And if you start attacking too early, I'm just gonna play like bridge plus scroll or something. Like, and
that's the fear, I mean, and especially in game 2, you go for an alpha strike in hopes of getting the clock down, and it's like, okay, well, now the door's open for an ensnaring bridge to come down, and
Yeah.
have your wizards up. So yeah, it's really interesting calculus to try and figure out, like, what's your role in the matchup, what's your role even in a specific moment.
Yeah.
That's it, so yeah, so like moving forward with the deck, that's like kind of what I need to think through of it's especially when you have the grifter out but not the winter orb, because then your decision making is rather easy, just like port them into oblivion, get them unable to cast any spells, and then you only need like 2 or 3 wizards free to block them out. You 2 wizards to tap down the 1 land they get, and then 1 wizard to counter whatever spell they can play.
It's basically a spear plus port plus orb, so it's a wizard's version of that.
Yeah, exactly. But when you don't have the winter orb, and it's just like, okay, well, I could spend 2 wizards to port you, or I could just crash in I could come in for a little damage. I don't know. It's just an interesting calculus that
It's really tricky.
I haven't had to make with a lot of decks before, because I normally play degenerate combo decks.
I respect that. Do we have any questions from our hosts?
I don't have anything to add. Lund, did you have anything you want to ask?
I have a quick question. So, something that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, I think, in the series is people taking a lot of damage from their own lands, right? So it happened tonight. It's happened in previous matches. I mean, what do you guys think about what that says in terms? I don't know if it's the series, if it's pre-modern and generally. Obviously, you guys aren't running things like Ancient Tombs, but like, how hard was it to build a lot of these decks when you have to consider your mana bases, right? Not so much for Pox, Robin, obviously, but for other decks, certainly, right? I mean, we're seeing it a lot in the series, and I think it's showcased that a little bit. And it's something that a lot of players who are new to pre-modern kind of take for granted. Like, oh, well, I can fetch for dual lands or a shock land, it'll come into play tapped, etc. Like, did mana base and pain lands factor into your deck building at all? I'm just curious because it's come up so much.
I'll let Anthony start, because we were actually talking about his mana bases earlier. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was like kind of a core design philosophy in all 3 decks that I put together, of just being like, like Tortured Madness deck, for example, like originally had some number of City of Brass in addition to the 3 Llanowar Waste. I mean, partially just for mana fixing, but also like I was thinking, oh, well, wouldn't it be nice to at least be able to cast the Squeeze and have a perpetual blocker? But in what little testing I did, I found that came up so little, like so rarely, that it wasn't worth having even more lands that were damaging me for every tap. I didn't consider a blue-white-red wizards, but I considered going blue-white-black wizards for like duresses, cabal therapies, removal, and shadow mage infiltrators. And I think actually somebody did well in a monthly or some other.
I think that was the first wizards deck to like ever make it anywhere.
Somebody did well in a tournament somewhat recently with a build like that. It's very different from what I put together, but I decided against it because the mana base was so painful. I was just like, well, I'll try and build a slightly more rounded, versatile, like blue-white deck that can kind of take care of the same threats, but doesn't need that 3rd color, just because the lands can just get so painful, and just losing to wastelands is like another consideration. But like I made a comment in the chat either last week or Monday, I can't remember, time is a flat circle, especially when you're a grad student, that I think that the invasion tap lands are underrated. I don't think that they're amazing. I don't think everybody should be like maxing out on them or whatever. But I think if your deck doesn't have just an abundance of turn 1 plays, I think it's worth running like 1 or 2 at least, just because having a land that taps for multiple colors of mana and doesn't hit you for the colored mana, I think is incredibly valuable. And I've actually been testing like 1 to 2 reflecting pools even in my 2 color decks, for the same reason of just having more lands that are tapping for multiple colors of mana but aren't going to ping you every time you tap them, because it came up a little bit. I didn't take even that much damage from my Adokar Waste game 2, but it was certainly enough to matter. It was enough to deny me the turn that I needed to stick that worship. It's come up a ton with Doomsday, like because that deck plays, especially my list with Burning Wishes, like it runs Sulphurous Springs, City of Brass, Underground River, like either all the lands in that deck only last 2 or 3 turns, or they ping you for 1. And so it's, yeah, some of these decks that have ambitious mana bases, it can be pretty rough. I don't know, Robin, you were kind of talking about the mana base in your blue, white, red Wizards decks during the match. I don't know if you want to talk about that a bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I have two styles to building mana. One is I just play a ton of swamps. No other basics, just swamps. I don't like other colors, but I do like swamps. So sometimes I just play a lot of swamps, and it's really easy.
But you like combo decks, Robin. You said they were your favorite.
That's number 2, right? So number 2 is I like decks like Feb, really good combo. And the thing with those decks is they have fragile mana bases. Really good mana base is actually too fragile. I think Feb's is fine because they aim to win fast anyway. What I'm not very good at, as you can see, is trying to figure out how the hell do I build a rainbow-colored mana base in a deck that wants to play for a long time. And then I end up taking a lot of damage, like you said. So that is something I'm still like. Mana bases is definitely not something I'm great at. So it's something I'm thinking about. What I told Anthony was that I was happy that he banned Wizards because I don't think it's bad, but I figured out how I wanted to change it. And it's really annoying to play a deck when I know, like, I want to change these 5 creatures out. I want to, So for those that like that deck, I will tell you that I'm definitely cutting 2 Wastelands for 2 Reflecting Pool to get the mana a little bit more stable. And it goes really well. Like Reflecting Pool is, as Anthony mentioned, pretty damn underrated, I think. And especially in decks like these tricolor decks that do the classic like 2 Gemstone, 2 Undiscovered, 2 City of Brass. At that point, the Reflecting Pool almost feels free. So it's kind of crazy to not play it. So that's about as far as I'm changing some creatures up in that deck too, but I shouldn't spoil it, all the fun. But yeah, I'm not great at those kinds of mana stuff. Like usually I will put something together and it's just a pile of lands, and I will like send it to someone like Svante, my friend in Sweden, and be like, what am I doing here? Like, can you tell me what am I doing wrong? And it's usually like too many pain lands or something like that. So usually my issue is taking too much damage.
Fair enough. All right. Well, thanks for the thoughts, guys. We'll see how the series continues to play out, but I think it's definitely something that's come up, and for players who are newer to the format, who perhaps take things like that for granted, it's a big issue in pre-modern.
Yep.
Yeah, the lack of enemy fetches is like profoundly felt, and really. It's why the pain lands are like they're the dual lands of pre-modern. Just because they come into play untapped. They don't have weird kind of like usage restrictions like some of the other doesn't Tempest like have 2 different kinds of garbage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Some come into play tapped, and some alternate, like when you use them for colored mana, they don't untap the next turn. But like Painlands are the cleanest, best, straightforward mana fixing in pre-modern, and sometimes they kill you. So it's definitely something important to be aware of in your deck building.
Which, from a nostalgia perspective, is also kind of a cool thing because we have this format where we get to see these older lands get some love as well, right? So it's kind of a gift and a curse.
I love it. I would.
Yeah.
Like I am part of the team. No, I don't need enemy fetch. Come on, it's fun.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy that actual factual duels are not in the format, just because it just leads to just brain dead mana bases where it's just like, even with just OT fetches, it's like, I always thought it was super weird in old extended when they made an exception for the dual lands. They're like, okay, and we're going to rotate out revised, except these 10 lands. And it's just like caving to lazy people who, wanted to keep the dual lands in the format, despite the fact that the rest of the, Magic's never done anything like that before. So I think it would be super weird. It would be akin to that if we just decided, well, let's just put these new fetches in, or oh, let's bring the duels back in. Like, no, the card pool is what it is. The restrictions breed creativity. You just gotta
absolutely.
Yep.
Nice balance too.
Mhm.
And with the Explorers League, that's going on and things like that, who knows? Maybe there will be a pre-modern month where enemy fetches are legal or dual lands are legal or whatever. Like, who knows, right? If people want to play with those cards, they can create their own events to do that, right?
I would only support that if somebody could whip up amazing PDFs of like old bordered fetches.
Proxies.
Unless they put it in Time Spiral Remastered, but I don't think
They did not.
They did not, but I would argue there's enough creative people and tech savvy people in this community that people could probably come up with some really cool versions.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
All right, thanks guys. It was a cool match. Congratulations to Robin. I think that puts you in
3-1.
3-1. Okay, so
we have a 4-way tie for first place right now.
All right,
so
well,
we've got Gabe, Aaron, Andy, and Robin are all 3-1.
Okay. So some stiff competition up at the top. All right. And so it's anybody's game then. Yeah, I mean, so.
For sure. Also, remember that I started 1-3.
Oh, 0-3, I think actually.
0-3. Yeah, I even started 0-3 last season. So.
And Anthony, you're 2-2, so you're absolutely still in the running.
I'm in it.
Yeah. All right.
In it to win it.
All right. Well, we'll say goodbye to you guys. Thanks for the games. All right.
Have a good night.
Jump over to our schedule. So looking forward for our Monday matches, Robin will be returning. He will be playing Gabe. So we just talked about how both of those players are 3-1, so they'll be battling it out. Someone will advance to 4-1, and someone will fall to 3-2. And then Shawn and Phil, I think on the opposite end of the coins, I think one of them will find a win. It'll be interesting to see which decks that they'll be bringing. They've had some. I like both their decks. I feel like all the times they've played, they've just fallen a little bit short. So it's unfortunate, I think, for Shawn and Phil, because I really have appreciated their creativity and what they've brought to the series. So really looking forward to that late match on Monday.
I would agree, and I would say if they're like, I love all the players in this series. Everybody's great. I always talk about how like things behind the scenes are really fun to witness. But I have to say, if I had to pick the two players who most embody or I should say personify this series, it would be those two. So I'm just looking forward to a really awesome Spice Fest when Phil and Shawn face off next week.
Okay. Just want to reiterate, I will be putting up a post on the Facebook group regarding the Spring Fling and opening the registration. So if you're interested in playing that, don't hesitate. Register now. You can register your deck later. You'll just have to submit another form. So I'll put that up later tonight. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, for participating, for chatting. There was a follow. I think what we were talking about, it was Pony Danza. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you for all our subscribers, all the followers, all the love that we get. And until next time, take care.
Bye, everybody.